Hey, good morning, guys. Welcome to day 5 of week 2 of our Psalms morning devotional. And I'm just excited about this one as we're jumping in. We're talking about the idea of being in the presence of God. And if you haven't already discovered, that's kind of my heart. And whether it's in your room alone, it's in your car where you're just able to turn off your music. Maybe it's during work that we just have a conversation with God. It's amazing. So let's jump on in. We are going to be starting in chapter 4 to finish this week, and we'll be doing verse 1. So let's jump in. David writes, "Answer me when I call to you, O my righteous God. Give me relief from my distress. Be merciful to me and hear my prayer." So guys, I love this, how David is just pouring out to God. Now, as we've discussed, David is a king, right? And David is writing in the midst of being in a power that is unlike most of us will understand, unless maybe some kings decide to watch this devotional, and maybe that's great. Welcome, kings and queens. But David is in this amazing place in his life, right? And David is crying out to God. He says, be merciful to me, God. He says, hear my prayers. And I think we can all relate to this, right? Now, one of the most amazing things that we can be and should forever be thankful to Jesus, right? For dying for our sins so that we can be in a position to come before God our Father every day. At any time, any moment, we can come before God unafraid, unashamed, with no condemnation, with no judgment, because Jesus on the cross died 2,000 years ago and took that all on. So we can come freely. And I just want to encourage you to always stay with that and to never forget it. But as Jesus is doing this, as he's discussing the ideas of how we can come to the Father, right? As David's doing that the reality is I think David is very busy in his life, or at least in his mind, right? And he's sitting there and he's struggling to hear from God. He's struggling to feel led by God. He's sitting there and he's saying, God, be merciful to me. He says, hear my prayer. If I was to sit there, I wouldn't maybe say that to a friend, but if I reach out to somebody, maybe you've done this, right? If you reach out to somebody and you send a text message or you call them, and maybe a day goes by or 2 days and you never hear from them, maybe you'll text back a question mark or are you there, or you'll call them again and say, hey, where are you, right? And I think David is basically doing the same exact thing to God. He's saying, God, where are you? I'm here and I need you. And you know what this creates if you let it, and this is kind of a danger at times of not reading a verse in context. Again, and we'll go further on in the next weeks as we go deeper into Psalms, but if you only read this one verse and you only listen to those first couple minutes, you think that God has shut the door and he has closed up his ears from hearing David. But the truth is that that's not true, right? Is that God says that at any time we can come to him, and that he will not hold our sins against us, that he rejoices over us with a song of praise and joy. And it's from Zephaniah 3, I think 15 and 17. It's one of my favorite verses. But guys, I want to encourage you that David, he is caught up in a situation right now, and he's writing to God. He's crying out to God, where are you? Are you there? Well, what this does, if we can take a healthy approach, is that this opens up an opportunity to remind ourselves, our spirits, our hearts, our minds, that God has not left us. He never will leave us. He will never shut his ears, and he will never stop speaking to us. Granted, sometimes it's harder to hear because of what we're going through. Sometimes it's harder to speak because of what we're going through. But that doesn't mean that he's ever left us, right? He is closer than a breath, right? He is closer than the skin on our bones, right? Some worship songs speak about it. It's one of the most amazing, beautiful things, is that he's closer than even a brother, a best friend. a spouse. And I want to encourage you with that, guys. I know that if you've cried out to God, if you're going through something, maybe you're sick, or you're dealing with someone who has a sickness, or something, an issue in your marriage or your finances, and you're wondering, God, where are you? He hasn't forgotten, and he hasn't stopped listening. He hasn't stopped speaking, and he'll never stop caring. And he is coming. He is coming to speak with you, to share with you, and to help you through it all. He is fighting in the supernatural in ways, again, that we don't ever understand. So I just want to encourage you that and leave you with that as we step into the weekend. I love you guys, and I hope you have an amazing weekend. As always, take some time Saturday and Sunday to get alone with God. Close the door to your room and just be with him and be open with him. Maybe you had a rough week. Maybe you had a great week. If it was rough, bring it to him. Cry out to him. If it was great, thank him. We can just be who we are to God, and he loves us for who we are. He loves you for exactly who you are. And through Jesus, we are his sons and we are his daughters. So I love you guys. You are family. I'm praying for you guys. And as always, subscribe, click below, click the alert, and we'll see you guys on Monday. Have a great weekend.